Welcome everyone. I would like to present you my topic, the use of augmented reality in dental implant placement. I am Takács. I work at the Department of Community Dentistry. What I envision is the application of augmented reality in everyday clinical practice, and my mission for this is to improve patient satisfaction with implants. To achieve my mission, I would like to conduct these two investigations. The first one is about the accuracy of the available implant placement methods, and the second one is about the learning curve of augmented reality and conventional dynamic navigation implant placement. So this is my first topic. Out of the current implant placement techniques, the freehand method often results prosthetically inadequate implant positions, iatrogenic damage and aesthetic complications, while dynamic navigation forces the surgeon to alternate the attention between the monitor and the working area. And the surgical guides of the static navigation systems need for additional space and may also endanger the cooling of the drill. So as a solution to these problems, I would like to introduce you the augmented reality-based navigation system, which works by the superimposition of the preoperative plan on the surgical area. The aim of our study is to investigate if a clinically appropriate accuracy is achievable by using this novel technique. So our clinical question is technically the accuracy of all available old and new implant placement methods. We would like to conduct this study on models, and our hypothesis is that the augmented reality-based navigation will have better accuracy results than the rest. Here you can see my systematic search and my flowchart of selection. As you can see, we ended up with 83 articles after the full text. Our outcome measures are means with confidence intervals. They are measured between the planned and the placed implant positions, and all values are positive, and the smaller the value is, the smaller the deviation is, the better the accuracy becomes. Here are all the figures I have. Due to the lack of time, I will only show you the primary outcome measures. So the first one is angular deviation, measured between the planned and placed implant axis. We set the clinically acceptable level of accuracy to maximum 5 degrees. And if you look at the pooled mean values, only freehand surpass this limit. However, the confidence interval of the static pilot group included values also higher than 5 degrees. Then our second result is with the apical global deviation, measured at the most apical central points of the planned and placed implants. The clinically acceptable accuracy is max 1.5 millimeters, and out of the outcomes, the subgroups, the freehand method and AR had a higher pooled mean value than this, and the static pilot, the dynamic and the static half-guided groups had confidence intervals with higher values than 1.5. And the last three groups, so the robot, the static fully, and the static unknown groups, had the confidence intervals that were totally falling into the acceptable range. The third one is coronal global deviation, measured at the most coronal points of the planned and the placed implants. Here again, 1.5 millimeters is the limit of clinical acceptable accuracy, and the results here are really promising, as none of the pooled mean values went over this limit, and only the freehand method had a confidence interval with some higher values than this level. The strength of our study is that we evaluated the accuracy with all possible measurement types in all available implant placement methods. However, as you can see, the heterogeneity in our studies were pretty high, and we only used in vitro studies, and in some subgroups the number of articles was small. So as a conclusion, all the subgroups except for the freehand placement resulted clinically acceptable angular deviations. All of them except for freehand and AR resulted acceptable apical global deviations, and all of the subgroups resulted acceptable coronal global deviations. In the practice, the navigated surgery should be used more often, and also it should be introduced to the broader audience. About the research, of course we will need more studies, and also more consistent way of outcome publication and greater transparency of the reporting results. So here is my, my progress with this project. And you can see that we would like to submit this article in May, and the main target journal is the Journal of Dentistry. My second project, it's about the learning curves. Learning curve can be created by measuring the operation time of implant placement in different time points, and later you can put these values together, which forms this specific curve. We know that dynamic navigation has a steep learning curve from previous studies. However, there hasn't been any study about the augmented reality-based navigation systems learning curve, so this is why we would like to see it. Our clinical question is the learning curve and the accuracy of the mentioned methods. And the hypothesis is that AR will provide faster to learn and to reach clinically acceptable accuracy. And the clinical implication is to offer easy to learn implant placement method, decrease all complications, iatrogenic damage, and aesthetic problems, have better biomechanical results. So we would like to include MSc dental students in this study who have no previous experience in implant placement, and we would like to conduct this on 3D printed resin models of human mandibles. So we would like to create two teams. The first one, Team A, would start with the AR-based navigation system, and after that they would try the conventional dynamic navigation too, and the Team B would do this the other way around. This would be important for us because this way we can achieve not only the individual learning curves of these methods, but we can also see if any previous knowledge of navigation system would have any impact on our results. So our primary outcomes is the learning curve and the implant placement accuracy. And as an overview, and my aims are to finish my first project in May and to finish the second project by August this year. I would like to thank you for your attention with a quote from Verne. Science, my boy, is composed of errors, but errors that it is right to make, for they lead step by step to the truth.
Congratulations for your presentation. I have just one question, because I saw that you divided the sorry, I forgot the name, in more parts.
The static navigation.
Static navigation, yeah, thank you. And can you
yes.
tell me about it more? Because I'm not an implantologist.
Thank you for the question. Yes, we divided static navigation to these subgroups called pilot guidance. This actually means that you use the surgical guide only for the pilot drill, then you remove it and do the rest of the drilling and implant placement freehand. Then we have the static half group. This is for the half guidance, which means that all drillings are conducted through the guide, and only the implant placement is done freehand. And the static fully group is the fully guided implant placement, which means that even the placement of the implants is through the surgical guide. And we also made a group, static unknown. This is actually because in some articles they didn't really clarify which of these three methods they used. So we put them into this category and try to contact the authors via email. And if they answer, then we will, of course, replace them into the right categories.
Do you have any? Oh, so there is a question, please.
So thank you. It was a great presentation. I have just a technical question about your second project. Is that how are you planning to include those dental students who have no experience in implantology at all? I'm just asking because, for example, here at Semmelweis University, every 4th and 5th year dental student have the opportunity to try placing implants on models.
We would, of course, create a questionnaire. If they place the implants, we would exclude them. We would like to conduct this study on MSc students because some may have some experience with oral surgery, but no experience in implant placement. So this whole study would go like we would ask them about their previous knowledge. If they don't have any, we would include them. And before they conduct the procedures, we would keep a short training about how the navigated surgery works. So they would knew the method they would use.
Thank you.
Do you plan any internal control? I mean, there are no non-experienced dental students, so it could be very accidental. How do they place their first 3 implants? So how do you plan to give them, you mentioned around some short training or?
The training would be theoretical. So they would all start from zero practical knowledge. But we would, for example, make them place 4 implants at first, and then measure the mean operation time, mean accuracy, and this is how we would form the learning curve.
Okay.
But, yes, also these numbers are still under development.
I definitely would like to suggest you to measure them again after you finish the measurement, because it might change, I think. Okay,
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, the time is almost over, so thank you for the presentation.